So I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask for roll call.
Chris Diana,
Here.
Robert Freeman, Patricia Jones,
Here.
Ann Hines Silvas,
Here.
Deshaun Williams. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick. So the first item on our agenda are the approval of the minutes from the public hearing that we had on February 25th, and the minutes were provided in your packet. So is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion of the minutes from the public hearing held February 25th? Hearing none. All in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, and we have approved the minutes from the public hearing on February 25th. We also had a regular meeting of the commission on February 25th. Those minutes were included in your packet. Is there a motion for approval of the regular meeting minutes?
I move to approve.
Thank you, Patty. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chris. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of approving the minutes from our meeting, the regular meeting of the commission held February 25th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, and we have approval for the minutes of the regular meeting held February 25th, 2025. Are there any additions to our agenda for this evening?
There are none.
Okay, thank you. Is there or was there any public input?
No.
Okay. Any presentations?
No.
Okay. So that takes us to the staff report. And do you all want to give us a briefing on the staff report?
Sure. So just a couple things to mention there. First is that we are having our neighborhood cleanup event on May 10th of this year. That's a Saturday. Mailers went out to households in our community development target areas last week. We've already been starting to get folks from seniors and households with disabilities for the courtesy collection, and then households in those areas are also eligible to come to our drop-off site at Republic Services site. So folks in our target areas can be on the lookout for those. And then next thing, our community services grant is still accepting applications until April 7th. This is the newly expanded version of what had been the youth services grant. It's been expanded to include low-income Urbana residents generally, no longer just youth. More information on that is available on our website. We're also holding a virtual workshop this Thursday from noon to 1, and folks can email us at grants@urbanail.gov if you'd like to register for that.
Any questions for Nick about the staff report? Thank you. That takes us to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business to come before the commission this evening?
There is not.
None, okay. And that takes us to new business, and then we have 3 items under new business. So do you want to walk us through these 3? And I imagine that what you want from us is recommendation that you will take to council regarding the consolidated plan.
That's correct. Braden's going to start off by just talking a little bit about our consolidated plan.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. You're correct. Tonight we're going to be seeking your recommendation to forward the consolidated plan for 2025 through 2029 and annual action plan for 2025 through 2026 to the City of Urbana Committee of the Whole with a recommendation for approval. So back on February 25th, we provided a detailed presentation on the contents of the consolidated plan and annual action plan, including findings from the needs assessment, the market analysis. We outlined the public participation process that we've engaged in, and then also talked about some of the projects and activities that we intend to undertake during the 5-year consolidated plan period and 1-year annual action plan period. And then we talked a little bit about the resources that we are anticipating to receive under our HUD grants, which are covered from these plans. So tonight I'll just do a little summary of this process, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. So we have just concluded the 30-day public comment period, which began on February 25th and ended yesterday, March 25th. The public engagement process for the consolidated plan, it's really central to the development of this plan and to identifying the needs that should be addressed with our federal resources. So we began actively soliciting public feedback over the summer in 2024. Staff attended over 7 community events, including neighborhood nights and CU days. At these events, staff handed out flyers about the plan, surveys, and also discussed local needs with residents. Staff of the City of Urbana, in collaboration with the City of Champaign, also conducted in-depth stakeholder interviews with 11 local housing and service provider agencies to gather data and also feedback on many of the needs facing low-income households in Champaign County. And then also 2 weeks ago, during the public comment period, staff also had a 12th a stakeholder meeting with Advocates for Aging Care, which is a local nonprofit organization that is working to advance the needs of the aging care in Champaign County. So that is also going to be incorporated in the feedback that we include in the plan. Since last summer, staff has also been soliciting feedback through social media, through newspaper notices in the News Gazette, public hearings like the one that was held back on February 25th, and also the community needs survey. In order to get interest in the survey and to get people to take the survey, we sent out mailers to every address in our community development target areas, and we had a great response. We had 177 surveys completed. So that is really important data that's included in the plan, and that has informed the projects and the activities that we are including in the plan. So a little bit about the process and the next steps in this process. On page 94 of the plan, you can find the expected CDBG and home resources, home allocations. We discussed this at the public hearing. We didn't print out the plan for you again tonight just because it's over 100 pages long, but you'll find in attachment A of the memo, we've included a summary of the anticipated allocations for this upcoming fiscal year and the projects that we intend to undertake with these resources. That, again, is in attachment A of your memo. And then just a note about these allocations. So these are still the estimated numbers. HUD has not announced final allocations yet. However, once these allocations are published by HUD, staff will update the consolidated plan and annual action plan accordingly. Per the city's public participation guidelines, approval of the adjusted allocations by the commission will only be required if the allocations are 25% over or under the estimates that are included in the plan. So if we get 25% more than we are expecting, we will come back to you for approval. That would be, the best case scenario. In the event that we got a cut of more than 25%, we would be coming back to you as well. But any changes to the budget within that threshold, we will be able to proceed with submitting our plan to HUD. So a little bit about how that process works. So both the consolidated plan and annual action plan will be completed electronically and submitted to HUD through their integrated disbursement and information system. And then the program year and our 5-year consolidated plan period will begin on July 1, 2025. So this approval is essential to keep us on track for getting this approved and entered into HUD systems so that we can be on time with getting everything submitted. So we are recommending that the commission forward this resolution to the Committee of the Whole with a recommendation for approval. And I'm happy at this time to answer any questions you might have.
Well, thanks. That was going to be my question, if actuals are different from the plan. And so that's 25% is pretty generous. So that's a lot of nice flexibility there.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Braden, last time, or maybe the time before, when we met, we did spend some time kind of poring over more of the details. Were there any big changes since then?
No, there have been no changes. Again, the only change was one that I noted. We had an additional stakeholder consultation, and those notes will be included when we submit the plan
Okay.
with the feedback that we received.
Any other questions about the content of the plan or the process that Braden just described?
This is going to sound very detailed, but just check in here. So I believe the public review is a 30-day requirement that it's on.
That's
for
correct.
public review. So we have it from February 24th through March 25th, which, as long as you count both days, is that.
That's correct.
Do they consider that a business day or a 24-hour day? 'Cause, I mean,
It's
technically, if it's a 24-hour day, we haven't.
sure. It's
that, yeah.
it's just calendar day.
Calendar day.
Yeah.
Okay. So no matter how good the comment is that comes in after this, it's all
Yes.
luck.
Yeah, and that's that 30-day period was the amount of time that the draft had to be available. But like I said, we've been soliciting feedback since the summer, so we hope we did a thorough job.
We're always stumbling over those dates.
Yes.
Any other questions for Braden about the plan, the process? If not, I'll entertain a motion, and that would be listed under new business H number 1. We would need a resolution to recommend to council that we approve the consolidated plan.
I move that we move this resolution forward to City Council for both the consolidated plan for fiscal years 2025-29 and the annual action plan for fiscal year 25-26.
Thank you, Patty. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Any further discussion? Okay, so I'll call a vote. All in favor of the motion to forward this with recommendation for approval, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, and that motion has been approved, and we will send that to council with a recommendation for approval. So that takes us to number 2 under new business, the transfer of volume cap in connection with private activity bonding. Do you want to explain that?
Sure. I'm actually going to talk about the next 2 items. As you can see from the titles, they're both related to the city's annual private activity bond cap allocation process. So as you may remember from previous years, each year a certain amount of tax-exempt private activity bonds are allowed to be issued in the United States and then in the state of Illinois. The state governor's office then allows home rule units, such as the city of Urbana, proportional to population to seed allocated bond volume cap to other organizations as a way of providing low-cost financing for eligible activities, which include a variety of affordable housing purposes, nonprofit development, and some economic development activities. The deadline for local governments to make these allocations to other organizations is May 1st, after which any unallocated bond cap would be returned to the governor's office and they would decide what to do with it. The formula that determines the amount of volume cap in 2025 is $130 multiplied by the city population. This year, that comes out to $4,967,170 in bond issuance authority. As was the case last year, the city has received 2 requests to cede a portion of its bond cap, one from the Illinois Housing Development Authority and one from the Eastern Illinois Economic Development Authority. The Illinois Housing Development Authority uses its private activity bonds for a couple different things. One, it uses it to finance new affordable housing development. And then it also provides mortgage assistance to qualifying households. IDA did provide us with some numbers showing that its single-family loan program, which is assisted through these bonds, has assisted between 2015 and 2024 127 households in Urbana. And basically the way this works is IDA partners with local financial institutions. So when qualifying households are seeking mortgage assistance through these institutions, they can be connected to one of these programs. And then the Eastern Illinois Economic Development Authority uses its private activity bonds to provide low-interest financing for a number of activities, but in the past, these have included affordable housing developments as well as economic development activities in a 10-county region, which includes Champaign County. As a regional pool of low-cost financing, it could be a potential resource that future Urbana affordable housing developments or other qualifying activities could tap into. So staff are recommending that the city split its 2025 volume cap equally between the two organizations and have prepared two resolutions to that effect, one for each organization. This would transfer $2,483,585 of bond issuance authority to each of these organizations. Last year, CD Commission recommended and then council voted to split the city's bond cap between the same two organizations. So we would be staying in line with that for this year. So that's a general overview, and then I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Nick. Any questions?
I do have I think, I know we've done this before, but I do have a question, which is splitting it half and half, is that kind of equally beneficial to us? Or would anybody want to argue that we should split it differently in order to benefit Urbana more?
That's a good question. I would say, were there specific projects that were on the table, it might make more sense to give a larger share to one organization or the other. Right now, it's more, I would say the calculation is more, we know that IDA uses this for its programs in the area currently, and then there is potential to have this be a useful resource to the Eastern Illinois Economic Development Authority. We've had conversations with prospective developments where we've made sure to mention this as a potential resource. So it's kind of, I guess, just hedging our bets and having a little bit in both places where it could be useful.
Okay, thank you.
Good question, Patty. Any other questions, comments?
Just a comment that it would seem to me, when we've looked at this in the past over a good number of years, it was always felt just that direction, that the broader a base you could get it out there, that these organizations do have a tendency to spend it where they got it from, so to speak. And so it couldn't hurt to have it coming from two directions in that sense. So.
And we certainly don't want this just to go back to the state. So that's why it's important to take action. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, so I think that what we should do is have a motion for each one of those resolutions. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, you could create an omnibus, but it's 2 votes either way. So.
Okay. Just do each one. So I'll entertain a motion for the transfer volume cap for EIEDA first. That would be number 2 on your list.
I move to approve the resolution to approve the transfer volume cap with private activity bonding authority for IEDA.
Thank you, Patty. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Any further discussion on that motion? Okay, all in favor of that motion, approving that transfer volume cap to EIEDA, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, and that motion passes. So that takes us to the second one, which is the transfer to IHDA. Is there a motion to that?
Yes, I move to approve the resolution for the transfer of volume cap for private activity bonding authority related to IHDA.
Thank you, Patty. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, so all in favor of that resolution to transfer the volume cap to IHDA, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So the ayes have it, and that motion carries. Any other questions or comments about that topic? No, we've taken care of that. Is there anything else on our agenda? I don't see anything else.
There is not.
Nothing else on our agenda,
I'll have one just plea with the commission. We are looking to recruit more commissioners. And so I would encourage all of you to reach out to your networks. I do want to thank Commissioner Jones for making public comment at a recent Plan Commission meeting where she talked a little bit about what we do on this commission, and we've actually gotten some inquiries from that. So I really appreciate that. But we are looking to build up the commission. So I encourage you to reach out. If you hear of someone who is interested, they can submit on the city's website. There's information how to submit their name. That goes to the mayor's office, and then she'll loop us in. But I think this commission does really important things, and we'd love to see some new members join.
are there particular geographic areas of the city that you'd like representation from?
We would certainly prefer to have a wide distribution of representation. There's no requirements other than they need to be from the city of Urbana.
Yeah, okay. And we've had discussions in the past about the number of commissioners, and the higher that number gets, the higher the quorum is, and we have in the past, had difficulty reaching a quorum. So right now we're at 5, and so with 3 we have a quorum. So are you thinking about increasing that at all, or are we good with 5?
So our bylaws, I believe, state that we're capped at, we're a 7-member board. We have 5 currently seated, so we wouldn't exceed 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we've talked about that in the past, to make sure that the people we recruit are able to attend the meetings so
Yes,
that we
exactly.
don't get hung up without having a quorum. So thanks for that reminder. I've been thinking about that too. Any other comments, questions, ideas? Okay. We are adjourned.